aggressive perhaps, and Snack's trying to compensate towards under. It's a good little read. Snatchy gonna go flying down and gets picked up there. So it's kind of a little bit messy here at middle early on. The Glock's actually coming out on top of a lot of these long range exchanges. Meanwhile, Snacks, of course, known for his pistol plays, is going to pull out a 3K. He needs the ace and a 1 versus 2 to win this round. They know exactly where he is as well, so they're just going to back away and leave him on his lonesome to try and, you know, maybe outmaneuver here. I think there's a kit dropped somewhere, but not entirely sure at this point whether he's going to be able to retrieve that. I don't think so by the looks of things. Going to try and move out. And he does have the read, but Letney up close and personal. That counter strafe on the Glock can be deadly, and he will manage to put a stop to the madness, get a 3K of his own. So the pistol going the way of Valiance. I'm never sure whether it's Valiance or Valiance. I want to say Valiance, I think. I'm going to try and stick to that for sure. But yeah, it's one of those words where you got to be kind of careful with it, you know. Back in the day when I first started casting, I always used to say Windingo instead of Windigo. You know, because it's just like, it's like muscle memory but for your brain type thing, I guess, like for words. I don't know. I think people understand what I mean. But either way, into the second round here, it's a pretty heavy eco from Virtus Pro. They're not going to be doing a great deal, but they are stacked on B, so you never know. Could take down a gun or two. There's 4 rifles in play here, actually, from Valiance, so got to be aware of that. Of course, very little utility to work with, so I think do need to be very careful not to walk into this stack. Even just the one player, I think it's wise to send Hunter over towards B to at least make sure that there's not going to be any aggression, maybe earn some money or something along those lines, because that's always useful, you know, especially on that SMG. Because again, it's been a bit of a slow round. We don't really expect all that much in these types of rounds, but this is a particularly boring one so far, unfortunately, because of this B stack. Hunter spots out one, spots out a second, I think. Gets chunked way down there, so he's just going to back away. He says it's a B stack. Don't want anything to do with that. This is where they do need to be careful, though. This is where players can get a bit greedy for kills. Letney is in trying to pick something up with the AK, but they're not very close to him, but those USPs at range can be deadly, especially stacked on top of each other. Letney's going to get some easy one-taps, just holding the angles. This is kind of a good way to play it. Let them come to you rather than moving into the stack. You can kind of control the pacing that way. But as you can see, I mean, that one dink lands, and suddenly it's like 60 damage just disappears from your health bar. So you do need to be a little bit careful, but they play it well. Letney gets a couple, he backs away, making it nice and safe. And there you go. Finally, a kill does come in for Virtus Pro. Takes them a while. Snacks will be able to keep his hands onto that Galil. So far, the only player to have picked up any kills for Virtus Pro. Yeah, I mean, it still shocks me to this day, you know, to see the fall from grace. Because you have teams like G2 and things like that maybe some of their players were once great, but are still pretty good. They just can't contend at the top level. But then you kind of have VP where they've just fallen so far. You know, going from winning, I guess, to semis and consistently making top 4s and things at majors and whatnot. So it still surprises me. But like I say, they've been on the up and up. We'll see here, though. Once the rifles have come out, Valiance obviously in with the cheeky little boost in towards window. Hunter, unfortunately, going to get caught off by timing more than anything. And again, it's going to slow the round way down, as can be the nature of Mirage. You know, you sort of send the feelers out there, make that one aggressive play and hope that it turns around in your favor. If not, then you kind of have a lot more to do in terms of getting a good read, getting a nice little execute out, especially because this T side, very little utility remaining. Only Esperanto had any left, and that makes things very difficult. They have to hope that, you know, they can walk down angles that people aren't watching. That's exactly what you see Snatchy pick up on there. Still got Tao in on the back end of this B bomb site. Going to find 2, almost a third, but not quite. Snatchy will be there to clean it up. So a very decisive rifle round coming in from Virtus Pro. Again, it is kind of slow, kind of methodical from both teams, as is the nature of online CS sometimes. I think that teams can really just slow down rounds to try and hopefully catch, you know, someone in the middle of a bit of communication, or, you know, messing up an angle or something along those lines. Tao, no armor on the orb. Ooh, Snatchy. Nice little movement, though. He will find Hunter. So a nice opening kill. The double up setup is out early on for Virtus Pro here. Once again, they're off to an early advantage, but aggression from the T side going to earn control of the T bombs, the A bomb site rather, at least for now. Unfortunately, again, a lack of utility means that there's so many open angles, and with the state of Counter-Strike at the moment on that CT side, there's going to be orcs everywhere, and they've got 2 AWPs in play. This is a difficult one to break apart. Letney with a nice little one-tap onto Tao, to be fair. As he spots his head out, will slowly start to move in, but not ready for Mihu up on that firebox. I mean, who would be? To be honest, a little bit of a strange angle, but it works out for him a second round in a row. Virtus Pro continuing to look good in the rifle rounds. But yeah, I don't know. This T side just seemed to have very, very little utility usage in a lot of these rounds. It's strange to see. But here going to be on a pretty solid eco. Just the Deagle. And even then, I'm not sure Esperanto should have bought it. It's quite a hefty chunk. Generally, you would say 2k is a good area to be when you've got that loss bonus building up. 1900 is your bare minimum, at least on the T side, to have a comfortable buy. Because at the moment it'd be 1900, which just about allows you the money to get an AK. But down to 1600, it's not going to have enough. I don't think. So be interested. Maybe he goes on to the Mac 10, but that's still not ideal, right? It's a interesting choice. Perhaps a little bit overzealous with his purchase. But you never know. You can never write the Deagles off. That's the thing. I mean, he could get a kill or 2 here, and that kill bonus gives him a way back into the buy, so to speak, and also does damage. Because, as you can see, money for the CT side, as always, is still not comfortable. Very, very difficult over on that CT side. A little bit of a close exchange in at short, but 2 players were on it. Mihu, the only one required. Letney, though, maybe a bit of a distraction play for him to draw some attention towards double play coming in from Bialy and Snatchy, in all fairness. Otto as well. I'm going to manage to find one, but that's about all that we are going to get. Nice little flick from Snacks there. And we will, of course, be into a pretty easy 3rd round for Virtus Pro. Now, I do believe that big man Tea Time.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. The savior of the hour.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I heard you weren't having a good time over here, so I thought I'd drop by.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, a bit of Counter-Strike action. We're only a few rounds in.
Well,
Been holding things down, but, you know, it's always nice to have a friend to help me out.
I agree with that one. It's always good. Always good, especially when I can skip all the boring, you know, post-pistol shenanigans. But right now we've got some fairly long past post-pistol shenanigans, actually, where Valiance themselves, this is their big chance to try and take control of the game again. If they lose this round out, then they've got no money, so it's a big one for them. And they've got an interesting little setup on VP's side. Very aggressive towards A with Snatchy on the AWP.
Yeah, it's an interesting turn of events so far in these rounds. Virtus Pro, kind of surprising in a sense that it's been relatively simple for them. I think Valiance realizing they need to slow things down a bit and sort of play that utility. Again, it's something that I've been mentioning for quite a few rounds here, T-Time. They've just not been using their utility properly. And Mirage, yeah, it's such a utility-heavy map, to be honest. In some places, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it seems to be somewhere that they're just not using any at all. It's a nice little opener from Nexa, though.
Yeah, Yeah, seems like they don't respect the utility too much, especially when they get a second. Nihu trying to come in from behind to get some damage in, but it's only Bialy to strike through, and he's struck twice before he strikes out. Snacks left to 5 versus 3, and he misses that shot, and that could be the end, especially with a Molotov coming his way, and Nexa finishing the job. 3 for 3, and Valiance with a very interesting little set of smokes. I don't know if you quite caught that one, Scriv, but after smoking off Connector, towards the entrance, they threw another one slightly deeper to be able to traverse onto stairs more safely. Now, that's not something I've seen before, but Bialy was able to get 2 kills, so it wasn't particularly effective at the time. Now, they do have 2 ops going into this round, along with an MP9 on Bialy.
Yeah, it's kind of, to sort of contradict myself quickly, that's one of those scenarios where if you've got limited utility, you've got to know what you were doing with it. It just kind of looked like in the earlier rounds where VP were having a bit of an easier time. They just kind of, I don't know, used some utility, but then they were kind of like, oh, this isn't what we planned to do, and then just walking out onto A and getting mowed down. This round, though, they're going for that classic A setup, of course, moving their way through. They've got Snacks up close and personal inside the smoke. I think they are aware of the fact, but he will manage to find one just on the edge. The 4 versus 3, however, in favor of that T side. An aggressive buy from the CT side, you know, off the back of being able to get 2 AWPs, I guess. They tried to work something out, and I think now this retake going to be pretty damn hard for them. No kits, no utility, no real way into this site here. It's actually just going to show himself. I think Nexa only just spotted him out. He's going to try and get aggressive. Nice little pick on towards Esperanto, and up close he takes down Hunter. That's the bomb as well. This might just have given a chance to the CT side, but Nexa trying his best to pick up the pieces. It's AWP on AWP action, and it will be Otto to come out on top. There'll be a 4th round. Very, very close, though, considering, you know, how it went for Valiance early on.
And, I mean, it almost went the way of Virtus Pro, and that's where, you know what, I'm going to take a page out of your notebook. I'm going to blame some of the utility usage, but you're using smokes that early on and not really getting that much leeway onto the bomb site. Now, they did get 2 kills, but Valiant seemed confused because they were expecting VP to come aggressively, but weren't ready for it when it actually materialized. So Snatchy getting a couple of quick kills. Now, that makes me think maybe Valiant just misjudged the kind of economy that VP had. Maybe they weren't expecting the double off. I mean, I know I wouldn't be in that circumstance, but it seems like they were a little bit caught off guard and almost lost out the round. Otto had to actually land the shot, otherwise that could have been disastrous for them. A reset right after a big one.
Yeah, for sure. But now, what with this back and forth nature, it's going to be another eco from Virtus Pro. A good opportunity. Maybe one more rifle round and Valiance get good control of this T half. And I think for me, again, kind of talked in the pre-game type thing, VP have been improving at this level. You know, again, it's a really weird paradox that we find ourselves in with this team. But they have been looking good. But I think for me, mainly over on T sides, it's been a little bit better.
Well,
that's a classic Snacks play to just let people try and walk past him there.
Unfortunately, classic Snacks has, it's been a while since we've seen him truly in action. But, you know, Valiance is no small scalp though. Especially on Mirage, if Virtus Pro can actually manage to take this, that would be a big step forward for them. Don't forget, this is the map on which Valiance did upset Mouse Sports a couple of times at the minor. And that is, you know, it's no small feat. That does hold the caveat that Mouse Sports are very accepted in practice, but you know what? That's Mouse Sports' fault. Regardless, definitely looking to be able to take something away in this match. Of course, this round won't afford anything to them other than Letney's head. And seems like, speaking of afford, Snack's the only one who can get an AWP for himself. VP have shown a tendency to maybe rely a bit too heavily on the double AWP setup, so this should be an interesting round to see how exactly they shape things out.
Yeah, and again, now they are the ones struggling with the equipment. No kits in play. It's going to need an early initial frag to come through, and that's where this mid-aggression they kind of maybe decide against. Or Otto, he's the aggressive one. Pick up one almost a second onto Snatchy. And yeah, I feel like the idea there was for Snatchy to get aggressive, you know, through that window jump, but then kind of bailed on the idea and there was a little bit of miscommunication. And now, as they're trying to fight back in middle, Virtus.pro just not really able to find anything. In the meantime, they've lost the majority of the A control. They find themselves a man down yet again, and they are on the recovery, at least a little bit. This T side, though, it's so split all over the map. They do need to be very careful not to get caught off guard here, I think.
Well, hopefully they'll be able to figure things out. Hunter gets one very quickly. Snatchy getting caught off guard. Now, that is a 2v2, so don't count VP out of it yet, especially when you look over towards where Twao is. He might just spot the bomb out, and that would be a big boy move if I've ever seen one. No, barely misses it. Will he see it? Finally, yes, he does. Now, Twao knows that he's the man in control. He's the man with his finger on the pulse, and Valiance, they might be about to bleed all the way out. Hunter, Otto, both of them creeping back, very, very wary, not making a single sound. They know Twao could be here, but they can't quite intercept him quickly enough. Otto could be overwhelmed, and Twao wins them the round, picking up the AWP in the process, despite Snacks going down early on in a surprising loss in a duel where I personally thought he had the advantage. VP are somehow able to claw their way back. Now, things aren't quite cherries and roses yet. They did only keep 2 players alive, so utility isn't quite at its best for VP, but at the same time, Valiance aren't feeling too heavy on the pockets either.
Yeah, that back and forth nature continues. I mean, that's an interesting 2 versus 2, pretty much perfect, I would say, for Virtus.pro there. If the bomb had been down, they would have had a much harder time of it, right, of getting back into a bomb site. But because I guess someone left the bomb behind, like we saw for a second there, they did have control of like that right-hand side of the A site. If they managed to get the bomb down there, then maybe the round does go the way of the T side. But because of a bit of a misstep, leaving it at the top of middle, yeah, they end up having to try and recover things back, and it's just a nice bit of positioning in the end for Tao. But we'll see here. Again, like you said, still a chance for both of these teams in this round. Still very difficult to call, but that is a nice opening pick from Mihu, as he will catch one almost a second off guard. It's in fact, of course, the AUG from the back end of site. Such a good spot for it. He will manage to pick up 2, and I think that's pretty much going to be all she wrote for this one. Otto is trying to pick up the pieces, but only good for 1. So a 5th round for Virtus.pro. They string a couple together, and they will now break the economy of that Valiant side.
And that round kind of takes away a point that I kind of wanted to make beforehand, that up until now, Valiance has been pretty good about gaining the advantage early into the round. Now, they end up messing up when it's time to plant the bomb. Now, we saw a round coming down to a 1v1. We've seen them losing a 2v2 so far. They're not really doing too well with actually controlling the bomb. So, despite them being able to get an advantage early in, they're not translating it into bomb plants, which is something you don't normally see as a problem for most teams. Normally, if you're getting a kill, if you're getting control of a site, you're pretty much guaranteeing that the bomb will go down. Valiance, though, not quite there, Scriv.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird to see. I don't know, it seems like they just don't quite have a feel. Maybe they're overthinking things a bit too much. Maybe they don't feel prepared against VP, and instead of playing their own game, they're trying to adapt to whatever VP are doing, and it just seems a bit strange, really, in some of these rounds. This is a nice play in towards middle. Snacks doesn't quite capitalize, but that was a great flash to come in from Mihu. He will, I suppose, quite easily pick up the pieces, one would expect. You know, I believe it's Launders that I, learned and like to speak of from in middle. Taking control with no utility is pretty much impossible. Don't know why, it just sticks in my head at a tournament that he had a little rant about teams trying to do that in like eco rounds and things, because you're essentially just throwing the round away. And I think,
that is clean.
Oh god, that was the last bullet as well.
Yeah. You like to see that, don't you, Scurv?
Yeah, I love those.
Definitely. Always the man to side with an underdog. But right now, I'm not gonna lie, Valiance, I can't tell where I stand with them, because they're pulling out some fun little rabbits from their hats, but then immediately after they turn things around and you're kind of wondering, okay, what the hell is going on? So, like you said, utility being thrown at, trying to take control of mid over there, very difficult without utility, kind of pointless even if you do throw utility with a pistol round. Kind of want to use those flashes to try and net a few kills towards sites, but now, good nade, getting great damage. Esperanto almost brought down. Letney will indeed go down. Twao stepping up, but Esperanto will overwhelm before being overwhelmed. Mihu and Snatchy each chiming in with one apiece, leaving it at 2 versus 4, and a misthrown Molotov might just save them, but Hunter, well, he's looking to be the savior. He's got 2. Brings it back to a 2v2, but the bomb isn't down and there's no utility.
Yeah, it's again going to be difficult, I think, with that AWP in play for the CTs to get in. Just imagine if that Molotov had worked out. Great capitalization by Hunter on the mistakes of his opponents, but we'll see whether they can hold it down. Obviously, only time will tell. Slowly but surely going to go creeping in here. Pretty close to each other, but really not feeling it. Snacks will find a quick little flick onto Nexa, though, as the Molotov goes in. It's all going to be onto Hunter. Already found 2. He needs to make it 4. There's not a great deal of time left, so he could definitely play that. He does manage to find the first. Snacks will tap the bomb, but sees that he's not on it, and a clean headshot in the end. Hunter comes in with the 4K, and a little bit of individual step-up will secure Valiance one of their first rounds in quite a while.
I mean, Hunter, right now, he is the savior for them. He's tying up the scoreboard with that 4K on 10 kills so far. Both teams actually having 2 players with 10 kills apiece. Both teams on 6 rounds. That is fun little equality that we're going to be able to spot out. Oh, Snatchy though, tagged up, and now he can't take the peek because he was slowed down too much. So now he has to be careful. Great grenade coming out from Valiance, but a bit too soon. Otherwise, it could very well have killed Snatchy there and then. Aggression from VP out of pace. Snacks moving forward, finding Nexa, doing his best Foon impression, which wasn't a very good one, I'm not going to lie. But you know what? It ends up working against him.
Yeah, a little bit weird. I suppose. But they do manage to sort of sneak some control here in the middle. If they can cleanly get this kill, which they do onto Mihu, then suddenly this B-bomb site looks pretty tasty. Nachi's going to have to try and hold things down. He does manage to get one, but there's players all over the shop for the CT side. It's a weird sort of scenario that the Ts find themselves in, trying to fight their way out, but again, like I say, that bomb being down, the Snatchy holding this angle. It's cleanly found by Otto, though. There's a player that they may or may not be aware is still in the apartments. This is a risky plant from Otto. Tao not going to go for any form of a peek, so I suppose he's playing the long game right now. Having to wait a while for his teammate to come in. They'll definitely know that he is there in the apartments. He's trying to draw attention away from short. It works out successfully as Bialy finds Esperanto, and he will take down Otto. A very clean 2v2 played out there by the Polish side, and they will immediately swing one back in their favor.
Beautiful play coming out from VP in these clutch situations. I mean, they're giving themselves a chance again and again. That previous round was the only one I've seen so far where clutch has gone the way of Valiance, but VP, they're keeping it very close even so. I mean, you keep the 2 ops alive, but money is not looking great so far. You've got some utility in this round, but this is the big one where Valiance has to kind of decide, do we take a knee or do we go for a force buy and try and break VP's economy? They could get themselves 8, but really 8 and 7, not that much of a difference. I personally wouldn't have liked, well, I don't like this purchase whatsoever from Esperanto. I would have liked to see them kind of just sit down, take the loss, and go for the 7th round. Not that much difference. They're all fantastic aimers as well, so definitely have some interesting advantages going from that on the CT side. I personally love Nexus play on CT side of Mirage, so don't know what I would say about this, but it's in their blood, I guess. And these mixed international teams just can't get enough of the force buys.
Well, maybe they know something that we don't, because I'm kind of in your thought process as well of, you know, this is an interesting buy that I think might have been forced by, you know, a bit of a mistake type thing, a bit of an over-aggressive decision. Because it did seem that, you know, Esperanto bought up and everybody else reluctantly followed suit. And yeah, they don't seem to have much of a game plan so far, just throwing a bit of useless utility in a few different spots. See whether they can actually do something with it. They've only got the 1 smoke to go over the top of the A site, and they're trying to go for an A split. So this is going to be difficult for them. They're already locked out.
Look at Hunter,
so CT's just, slowly but surely waiting. Ooh, okay, Hunter. Maybe this is the play. Yeah, that was well executed by him, but he only manages to get one. The second maybe going to come through. Tao doesn't want to go down the rat hole. Meanwhile, Nexa and Esperanto picked up kills, and it's all suddenly flown by the wayside. What the hell happened there? The T side will come out on top of that, but it was Hunter who, was the linchpin play, the big play. Didn't really pop off in the way that we expected, but everybody else was chiming in, so it's all good. They managed to pick up a 7th.
That was beautiful from Hunter. I mean, the way he was able to come in through the window, find himself one player, and more importantly than that, actually, just the presence of mind to delay the second player from the death alley, that was what really turned things around. And that force spike going their way just by a hair's length, 10 HP, actually the amount of health they had remaining across the board, means that now Valiance might be whispering into the airs of an 8th round. Autumn. That's what he's looking for indeed. Mihu goes down, so 5 versus 3, guns on their side, utility on their side, Hunter's spray, maybe a little bit less so, but you know what? He gets the kill at the end of the day, and 5v2 should be an easy one, regardless of whether or not Snacks is coming in from behind.
Yeah, I think, especially now that the bomb has gone down, right? This is typical no kit, only on the pistols. Even if they were all alive here, I would say that Valiance would be able to take this pretty easily. So it's been a very back and forth first half, but they do manage to edge out just towards the end. Will be interesting to see. This is a map that VirtusPro really like to play. They really do have some good T sides here as well. But then, like you said, this was a map that Valiance were able to kind of prove themselves on. It was their magnum opus, I guess, at the minor.
Ooh,
and they were
fancy words,
it's a good one, isn't it? It's a good one.
It is. I like it.
But it's true. It's true though.
Yeah, but that's like me saying I'm gonna give you my curriculum vitae.
I suppose.
I'm not gonna lie.
Throw a bit of Latin in there, It's always
yeah,
good.
yeah, definitely. With some of that, Julius Caesar.
Just random Roman emperors and things. Yeah.
Et tu Brute.
Yeah.
Petra.
Yeah.
Technically, names are all a part of it,
True. But yeah, I mean, a pretty good half from both sides there. Really, always difficult to call how these online games are going to go, but at the same time, I think that there was mistakes from both sides, maybe some over-aggressive buys towards the end from the T side, the CTs as well, really struggling with their economy throughout, and scraping through rounds at times. So I feel like if maybe, one team here can just get a bit of an early advantage, then we could see them taking the game overall. It does depend, I think, on the stability of these two teams coming into the second half pistol.
You're right. You know what? I will give this to VP. They continue to astound me time and time again whenever I see their buys in a pistol round. I love seeing Molotovs in pistol round on T side personally, because I never have any idea how they're going to be used, which says a lot about my opinion on Molotovs in pistol rounds personally. I just think that sometimes it's not quite as much utility as you'd like it to be, though. That said, Valiance themselves actually have 4 Kevlars, something that Sean Garris has advised us against in a YouTube video, and Sean Garris is our Lord and Savior of Counter-Strike, so I'm going to believe him on that one. But Valiance, so far, it seems like they don't really have any reason to have any armor whatsoever. They haven't seen any terrorist side players, and VirtusPro kind of just playing very patiently, angling their way towards that A site. Valiance themselves, a little bit of aggression towards middle, but even they will be retreating back into their hidey holes as VP makes their way down. Now, first smoke has been thrown. Will be landing itself in jungle. Yeah, okay, in connector. Fair enough. This is an interesting one, actually. Esperanto still has a lot of room to work around with. Mihu is really pushing forward. He sees... Oh my god, that's so quick! Esperanto's head just got chopped off like it's a Queen of Hearts. Hunter, though, he's very quick to respond, so Mihu, at the very least, has gone down, but so has the bomb with him, and Snacks... Well, now that Molotov could actually come into play, where he's going to try and throw it to stop the diffuser. Nexa gets 1. But wow, in his position, could very well turn tides back in their favor. Hunter peeks out, though, and he's too damn good. And in the meanwhile, Snacks has made his way down to connector, but he's been heard by Hunter. And speaking of too damn good, Hunter just keeps on going. Bayali now left alone versus 4. Will take down 1 with him, but at the end of the day, the bomb is defused and he has been put to rest.
Yeah, I think that is pretty well played by the CT side, to be honest. It really shows the effectiveness of the retake setup on Mirage just in general on that A-bomb site, not only in the pistol round, but also it's worth commenting on, you know, if you keep that kit player alive, they are always there in the back of like the comms or whatever saying, I've got a kit, I can run in, maybe we pick up a couple and I'll defuse. And that lets everybody else just play a little bit more methodical, a little bit slower, instead of being like rushed in. If you lose that kit player very early on, then suddenly the round seems to just, you know, turn into chaos for a lot of CT sides. But because of it, I think especially you can see it from Hunter, just slowly but surely checking all his angles, not neglecting any, and therefore not getting caught off guard. And that allows them to pick up a pretty hefty advantage and then the round. So the importance of the kit on the CT pistol cannot be overestimated, I think. It always has to be there, and if you can, keep it like as strong and as alive or as available as possible, if that makes sense.
Skriv, I'm going to quickly distract the viewers from your analysis and point out something I loved. It's the fact that Letney managed to take the last round away with 2 kills and not spending a single dime. He didn't use a single bit of utility. He didn't need to rebuy armor, anything at all. That's the best feeling in the world. You're getting $1,200 with a UMP, and on top of that, you're not using any of your utility. You're loaded as hell for the rest of the next round. It feels so good. But Esperanto getting that kill probably feels pretty damn good too, because it puts them at a 5 versus 4. Though VP has found some ground onto the ace site, Nexa will have to step up from behind the firebox.
Yeah, we'll see here. It's a difficult position, but it is one of those ones again where if you remain unchecked, he could go huge. Sort of depends. He has to bide and wait his time and hope that they still don't check him, despite the fact that Bialy's just picked up 2. They need to check this firebox because it could spell the end for them. More and more kills coming through. Nex's position becomes more and more and more important. Molotov going to go in towards Palace. He will peek out to find 1, but immediately traded. I think he felt that perhaps, you know, they were going to start searching for him. Meanwhile, Esperanto in at CT. I think they are aware that he's around this A-bomb site, having already picked up a kill. Ooh, but Snatchy going to go in for the plant. Esperanto playing it so very patiently, but Mihu is there, and a brilliant shot comes in from him. So the first rifle round is going to go the way of VP. Again, it's very difficult. There's no stability for both of these sides, and we're going to see a buy coming in, despite the fact that 2 players are going to be demoted onto the pistols. So again, it's an aggressive one from Valiance for sure.
And Valiance now seems like they're not going to be letting up on that aggression. They've got themselves 3 Augs, and everyone knows that's all you need to win a round. Mihu. Ooh, Hunter, that's the first Aug. First Aug, going for 2, gone! And it's a 5 versus 3. Like I said, Skriv, who needs numbers when you've got Augs?
Yeah, true. To be
10
fair,
out of 10 analysis.
Yeah, I can't argue.
Sorry. 3 Aug analysis. Happy.
Yeah.
Bailey getting another one right there. As seems like it should be a fairly easy one for VP to take control of the site, but regaining control seems to be Valiance's modus operandi. Not even correct usage.
Well, I mean, you know, you're fitting it in there. That's all that matters. Makes you sound
pretty much
highly intelligent. But no, Bialy now, pretty tough scenario for him, I think. 8 HP. Wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, I suppose, is a pretty tough one. He's just going to have to probably sit and hope that they don't check his angle at this point. But I think he's just been spotted by Esperanto. Yeah, indeed, that crack in between triple and CT, so he will get taken down. It's close, but it's going to be a pretty harsh reset, I think, onto VP as a team. Obviously, Snatchy's got a fair amount of cash, but for the most part, there's not really all that much that they can do there. So again, this back and forth nature, it continues, but you sum it up brilliantly, to be fair. It's like, if an AUG is in a good spot, it goes unchecked. there is a high chance that it's going to get 1 or 2 kills. Even if it does get checked, you know, just you need to be so on point with those AKs to drop the AUG. Because the AUG, there's a lot more room for error thanks to that scope, the high fire rate and things. So you need to be pretty much perfect in taking them out. And obviously they weren't. And it leaves such a hole in the offensive that Virtus.pro were trying to pull out. We'll see here, though. Nice little bit of aggression coming in. Otto will clean it up, though. Looked like for a second there was an opportunity to pick up 1 or 2 more kills in the end, but a clean 12th coming through for the CT side.
Well, you know me, Scriv. I live for my moments of accidental brilliance where I'm trying to make a joke about OGs and it comes out as analytical insight. But Virtus.pro, right now, they are unfortunately looking like they might need a bit of analytical insight from someone who isn't me, because I don't really know how you kind of deal with the fact that you've got, you know, 4 flashbangs across the entirety of your team. Now, Hunter, he knows exactly how to deal with it. He's going aggressive, knowing that VP is probably not going to be using preemptive flashbangs when their economy is this poor. Now, as he retreats, he does put himself into a great position to give back up to the B side as well, so he gets a nice little run around of the entire middle map as he quickly gets out of window, goes for a nice morning jog across the stretch of catwalk, moving back to B to meet up with his teammates for some afternoon snacks. And well, Virtus.pro, they themselves are perhaps not quite the socialites. They're feeling a little bit shy, a little bit timid as they feel around the sites to see where they can go.
Pretty key round to... Ooh, and a pretty key angle. I think they are slightly savvy to it there in the apartments, but as yet, no real action to come through. Nice little flash does land. Mihu, he doesn't pick up that kill onto Hunter, and that allows him to get an early one. Thankfully, they have kind of cleaned things up a little, and I think, yeah, the immediate call to save is they're just going to be locked out of this B-bomb site. And not really ready for that, so there was no one preemptively there to rotate or anything like that. It was a very quick hit, very successful hit. And Valiance, despite maybe, you know, a chance at this or whatever, are just going to back away and play the super safe game. They actually have a fair amount of time to save for, so pretty simple stuff from VP there, to be honest. Just a Molotov and a flash and hitting the shots will result in a 9th round for them. And it's kind of one of those moments. Your backs are against the wall. They managed to pull it out of the bag. So nicely done by the Polish side.
Surprising as well, given the state of their utility beforehand, and perhaps even more surprising, the fact that Valiance actually go for a save. Which, I'm not gonna lie, it's uncharacteristic to say the least from what we've seen so far in this, you know, in this map. But if there was any time to start controlling your economy, it's now, where you don't want VP to suddenly be able to pull out one of that, you know, veteran-inspired comebacks. So Valiance turn around, they say 4 OGs are better than 3, and that's what we've got right now. So Valiance, they can still crank it up a notch and get the 5th. But we're gonna have to wait to see for that one. Mihu pushes through, Esperanto goes down. It's a nice little sequence of events for VP, as they will be able to find the opening pick and maintain utility. That's important. Don't forget, Valiance haven't been punished too hard so far for their choices of clumping in mid, but now Otten and Nexa right behind him might be the first few victims of this Virtus.pro wrecking ball.
Yeah, this is a true sort of test for the CT side on how they recover this one back. So far, it has been cleanly dealt with by the Ts, but nice little bit of aggression from both Hunter and Nexa, playing off of each other really well. They manage to secure those 2 kills that are going to pull things back in their favor. They are, however, a little bit unprepared for the A hit. So I think the bomb at the very least going to go down for VP here. As you can sort of see by the body language, not entirely sure that they're both going towards A, etc. So they do just sit back, let them get the bomb down. It is going to come down to landing the shots. Beautifully done by Letny. He will be tagged very low. Snatchy trying to get aggressive. He had to make a move there. I mean, might seem like a little bit of a silly play, but you're 1 versus 3. You can't just sit in a corner and hope that they all run past you and miss, because that's not how it works at this sort of level. So can't knock him for trying. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out, and it will be Valiant straight back in to reset that loss bonus and get a 13th round.
Hmm. This is still a pretty tough situation for them, though. They're not quite in the clear. Snatchy is... Honestly, Snatchy is a really explosive opera, so whenever he has an op, I'm always slightly easily swayed by that, because that gives them a pretty solid chance. Now, he's a bit more hit or miss than a lot of the other fiery operas that you might see, but it's just quite enough to pull VP through when they need it the most, and right now is definitely when they need it the most. So Valiance, all I'm saying is this, Scriv, if they lose this round, we've noticed a trend. It's that when they had 3 Augs, they won. When they upped it up once more, they still won. And now they've got 2. And Virtus Pro, well, they might be able to exploit that.
Maybe. Let's take a look. I mean, a matter of seconds, I feel, before they'll be moving into this bomb site here. They are hoping to catch off some aggression, I think, and also you can see those players in middle just kind of flitting about, maybe trying to catch some players off guard. Perfectly timed peek coming in from Otto, though. Of course, no flash or anything to help him out, but that's kind of where he gets the surprise factor. Mihu will manage to trade him back, and the AWP of Snatchy's chiming in, trying their best here on the VP side of things. They do have, once again, control that right-hand side of sight, so to speak, but not the entire thing. Good little nade to go in from Hunter. Doesn't quite finish off the bomb planter, but there are 2 players very, very low here on this T side. However, tough angle to deal with. Tower will come out on top thanks to the AWP. Jumping across to get the smoke might help out. He picks up another. The AWP in the hands of Tower is not something that we see often, but it seems to be doing well. And Hunter, his body language, his movement, he's just going to back away and save. It'll be a 10th from VP. And once again, it is back and forth.
2 Augs, too few. All I'm saying, Scriv, the pattern is there. We know what to look out for, and you know you're good at dismissing my ridiculous analysis, but you can't dismiss the facts. They're right in front of you. All right, they're right there.
See,
Global warming is a lie. Augs will rule the world.
The thing is, right? You kind of say this, but so am I right in saying, you know, one of the teams that's maybe underperformed at the major is like FaZe, and one of the teams that maybe have exceeded expectations would be Renegades, right?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I think FaZe did a lot better than I thought they would under Nico's IGLing. But sure,
fair enough.
Man to man, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, just indulge me.
Yeah, sure.
But I've got some stats here, right? That FaZe, 36% of their rifles have been AUGs, whereas Renegades, 93% of theirs have been AUGs. So I think we're, especially you, definitely onto something here, you know?
He did the maths, guys. He did the maths. I just preach. I just preach. You know, that's what I do. And right now, I'm preaching that Hunter needs to really step up with that AK and maybe get himself a few kills. He's got 4650, so he's got enough to buy his teammate a gun in the next round if he wants to. You always want to save that AK regardless going into the next round, but the big boy move would be to be able to take away a few of VP's guns, because VP themselves are a little bit economically disadvantaged. More so than you'd expect. Nexa as well, kind of just hovering around Hunter with the USB. It's like whenever you had a friend when you were growing up who always had a PlayStation and you wanted to go play on his PlayStation. That's why you were friends with him. That's Nexa right now. Nexa's got a USB. He's kind of hoping that Hunter kind of has to let go of the AK. Maybe he dies. Maybe he leaves his PlayStation to him in his will. You know, something like that.
I relate, to be fair. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the only reason I was friends with the guy, but it was a big reason as to why I became good friends with him, you know? But either way, we'll see here. This is one of those key swing rounds. This could really turn things, especially for Valiance, on its head, but a good bit of early aggression. Not something that we've seen from them often, and Snacks gets caught completely off guard by that, and there's no one around to trade him at all. A really good early pick coming in from the CT side, and they're able to just kind of back away, adjust, and get ready for the remainder of this B hit to come through. Now, being one man down, and they've kind of decided to turn it into a bit of a fake play rather than committing heavily to it.
All eyes on Hunter for me, though. He's in the position that really could flip this all on its back. He's waiting to peek through, finds one, looking for two, but Snatchy's too quick. As he's able to scope in and get the kill, Hunter goes down, Snatchy stays alive, but for how much longer? Mihu keeps on moving forward as Letny has found two. It's all up to Twa, but Twa himself is down for nothing. 11-14, Valiance regain momentum, and they do it in style, with Letny getting multiple frags that allowed them to be able to close the deal. Double op kept alive, Og kept alive, Hunter himself very soon to be reacquainted with it, and it seems like a pause will come out from Virtus.pro where they're trying to figure out how to go about this round. Personally, Scriv, I'm not going to lie, the way Valiance have been approaching with aggression towards mid, I'd like to see a fast A take or even a fast B take coming out from Virtus.pro. Now, that said, that was before the double op came through. So that does throw a spanner in the wrench, and I'm not 100% sure how Valiance are going to be working around with that, but something tells me and there's still going to be a solid amount of aggression towards mid. So I'd like a fast A execute from VP, could very well catch them off guard. VP, though, with an interesting buy, Mihu and Snacks yet to actually purchase up despite having the money, and as I say that they will do so. So Virtus.pro, take my advice, go for a fast A execute, try and take control really quickly, overwhelm that double off setup, make it look like you're in control again.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a difficult one. Maybe that was part of what they were trying to go for in the previous round, but then Snacks gets taken down, and they're like, okay, let's try and double fake B. Let's try and do something that seems, you know, so obvious it's painful. And it's hard to do something like that when you're a man down, because why would the CTs be swapping their, you know, defenses? Why would they pull anyone away from B or A or whatever when they already have the man advantage? There's not much point. So an interesting call, but I guess kind of a difficult one when they were already behind to try and answer back. We'll see here. They do manage to bait out Otto, and a bit of control gained in at middle. Again, you know, obviously we look to those two CZs, not the best of weaponry to work with, but it's a fair amount of utility. It's as good a round as any, I suppose, that they could hope for at this point, as it is kind of that make or break moment. The smoke going to dissipate. Esperanto gets aggressive, but damage control coming through. However, Hunter is here, of course, as they've done so very well in at middle time and time again. Valiance will retain that mid control and ultimately winning the rounds off of it. So it will be a 15th coming through for the CT side. And I would imagine maybe the game alongside it, looking at the money that VP have.
I personally really don't like the this new fashion amongst lower tier teams to try and emulate the very top level in trying to go for those, you know, late takes pretty consistently. It's what you're not using utility the same way top teams do. Let's be honest. Neither are your opponents. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to play the best Counter-Strike that there is, but I'm saying you should try to play the best Counter-Strike you can play. I think there's a big difference over there. And Virtus.pro might be falling victim to kind of, let's just say, shadows of the past at this point. Because when you're slowing things down that much, relying so heavily on aim to be able to get the duels in, because your utility is so incredibly low as it is, so you're not going to get favorable duels more likely than not, especially versus the double op setup, which is inherently advantaged the longer that you wait in a round, because the entire point of a double op is to let the ops pick off a couple of men early in. So VP maybe getting caught in that trap a little bit. I don't really know what else to say. I personally don't really understand their decision to slow things down as much as they did without utility, but now Twao, long range with the Deagle, does take down Letny, so that's one of their ops out early in, and Virtus.pro getting some hope.
Yeah, another kill to come through as well from under, as Esperanto trying to compensate, and now I think Hunter realizes he finds himself in between a rock and a hard place, and I think it will be the hard place that takes him down. Remaining two players now. Again, the money not terrible, but it would probably be better for them to save it here. And that's maybe a little bit more of what, you know, we would like to see from VP. I think again, it's hard. They've gone for rounds like that in the past where, you know, they'll get someone get aggressive early on, but it just doesn't consistently stick, or they lose that one man and then they just don't have a game plan off the back of it. It seems that, as you know, a lot of teams at this kind of level seem to be, it's very pick-based Counter-Strike, and it relies on having an early little bit of breathing room, you know, an early bit of space in a round, and that is what carries a team through to win a particular round. And we see a lot of this, you know, they'll pick up 1 or 2 kills that are the players on the site, everybody else will go to save. And it is based off of a lot of early plays rather than sick executes or sick mid-round calls or great reads or whatever into the setups. It is just, oh, Tao got a good spawn, got aggressive, caught a player off guard, and they kind of won the round off the back of it. So, and I think that's a very difficult thing to make consistent unless you are a team full of really good aimers, you know, which VP...
I mean, you know, you're right. That's kind of what Valiance does. That's where you get all these international teams that are playing pretty puggy. Virtus Pro going with the hand, like I said. Sometimes it feels like they're trying to play a style that perhaps they're not quite up to par with the theory, let's put it that way. Esperanto, though, finding that first kill. Twile goes down. Mihu wants to peek out, and indeed he does. Now he's got a chance to finish off Otten, and that's not a chance he's going to be letting go of anytime soon. Now, 3 players over towards the A site. The question is, when will information about that fact be garnered? Will it be too late? Because as we see, Esperanto's kind of hovering around middle, float like a butterfly, sting like an og, as he will be trying to support his teammate. Now, it's always interesting to see how Valiance goes aggressive, because if you look at Hunter, he's playing these ridiculously close-range angles with the AWP, pushing all the way through Palace. That's not something I personally would... Let's just say I'm not going to endorse that and leave it in that, because I can go on for a long time about the harms and risks of that, but at the end of the day, Hunter has been showing that sometimes all that matters is your aim, the way he's been playing so far. Very core player for Valiance in this map. But the core player in this round should be Esperanto, as Nexa finds Snacks, and that'll be forcing VP forward into this B site. Letni down below, Esperanto at the back, and Esperanto will be able to find one, looking for more information gain at the very least. That allows Letni to step through with 2, and that will put